What if every circumstance in your life, every triumph, every setback, every quiet moment of uncertainty, wasn't the result of fate but choice? What if where you stand today is not by chance, but by decision? The truth is simple yet profound. You are exactly where you have chosen to be. Good evening, friends. I'd like to speak to you today about one of life's most powerful truths, the law of choice. It is the quiet force that shapes destinies, determines happiness, and decides who rises and who remains still. It is a truth so simple that many overlook it. You are exactly where you choose to be. Now that might sound harsh to some and liberating to others, but consider it carefully. Every decision, every hesitation, every step forward or backward has brought you precisely to this moment. You chose the thoughts you accepted, the actions you took, the habits you repeated, and together they have formed the path beneath your feet. You see, life is not something that happens to us. It's something we happen to. The architect of your life is not circumstance, it is choice. You and I are endowed with the divine ability to decide, to think, to act, to change direction whenever we will. That, my friends, is the foundation of freedom. If your current life brings you joy, then celebrate it. You chose it. But if it brings frustration, restlessness, or discontent, then take heart. You can choose again. The past may be written, but the future remains unwritten, waiting for the choices you will make today. Every day the world offers two roads, one of drift and one of direction. The drifter allows external forces, fear, opinion, or habit to chart the course. But the person of decision, the one who understands the law of choice, becomes the captain of his own ship. He sets his own sails and moves steadily toward the horizon of his ideals. Remember this central truth: we become what we choose, not what we wish. That single line carries the weight of every success story in history. The men and women who built lives of meaning did not wait for opportunity. They chose to create it. They directed their thoughts toward what they desired and refused to drift toward what they feared. So how do we harness this law? Begin with awareness. Take a quiet moment to ask yourself, what choices have brought me here? Then, with honesty and courage, decide where you truly wish to go. From that moment forward, discipline your thoughts and actions to align with that direction. Read something each day that strengthens your mind. Speak words that affirm your potential. Spend time with people who encourage growth rather than doubt. Each of these is a choice, a small decision that builds into a mighty change. The law of choice is constant. It operates whether we acknowledge it or not. But the moment you understand it, you gain power over your life that few ever realize. You no longer drift with the tides of circumstance, you steer. Every human being is born with a silent authority that surpasses circumstance, the power to choose. It is the unseen force that separates progress from stagnation, hope from despair, and greatness from mediocrity. Choice is the divine privilege that grants each person command over their own destiny. It is not distributed unequally nor withheld from any hand. The richest king and the humblest laborer share this same inheritance, the ability to decide the course of thought, direction, and action. In that power lies both freedom and burden, for with every decision we carve the path upon which our lives unfold. The choices we make determine not only what we achieve, but who we become in the process. Each thought entertained, each belief accepted molds the mind and builds invisible walls or opens limitless doors. When one realizes that every reaction, every word, every moment of hesitation is a choice, life itself transforms into a canvas of possibility. The individual ceases to be a victim of external forces and instead becomes the sculptor of circumstance. The wind may blow in unpredictable directions, yet it is the hand upon the rudder that decides where the vessel will go. Choice demands awareness. Most people move through life unconsciously, responding to situations rather than directing them. They allow habits, emotions, or the opinions of others to dictate their course. But true power emerges when one awakens to the realization that even indecision is a decision, a silent consent to remain where one is. To choose consciously is to reclaim authority over time, energy, and outcome. It is to stand at the crossroads of each day and deliberately decide which thought will rule the mind, which feeling will guide the heart, and which action will define the next chapter. This gift of choice is both blessing and test. It asks of us responsibility, the willingness to accept that where we are today is not the doing of fate, but the result of choices accumulated over years. It is easy to shift blame to circumstance, to point toward luck or misfortune, yet the mature mind recognizes that freedom without accountability is chaos. Every outcome stems from a decision once made, consciously or unconsciously. When this truth is accepted, the individual gains extraordinary strength, for life ceases to feel random. The future becomes a series of deliberate selections, each one moving closer to fulfillment or further into regret. The great ones of history were not favored by chance. They simply made better choices guided by purpose instead of impulse. They selected discipline over comfort, learning over leisure, persistence over surrender. In doing so, they transformed potential into reality. Every human holds that same instrument. Within each moment lies a fork in the road, waiting for a mind aware enough to decide. The act of choosing with intention turns ordinary existence into creation itself, for through conscious decision, man becomes the author of his destiny, shaping tomorrow by the choices of today. Every situation you find yourself in at this very moment was once a decision waiting to be made. The conditions surrounding your life, your work, your relationships, your habits, your peace of mind, are not products of chance, but the quiet consequences of past choices. Each thought accepted, each step taken or neglected, has shaped the ground beneath your feet. Yesterday's decisions planted the seeds that bloom in your reality today, and what you decide now will grow into the landscape you will one day call your future. Life never happens suddenly. It unfolds through patterns of direction, each determined by the choices we continually make. Choice is a law that cannot be escaped. It operates whether we acknowledge it or not. Every time you act, think, or even remain still, you participate in this law. The results of yesterday's thinking have arranged your present, just as the thoughts and actions of this day are arranging the conditions of tomorrow. It is an unbroken chain linking what was to what will be. When a person understands this, blame disappears. No longer do they wait for fortune or luck to carry them forward. They take ownership of their direction, recognizing that each moment carries the potential to alter the course of an entire life. The mind is the starting point of all creation. Whatever you dwell upon, you invite into your experience. Yesterday, perhaps you allowed fear or doubt to dictate your actions. Today, you may be living with the weight of that hesitation. But just as those earlier thoughts shaped your current state, new ones can build a different tomorrow. The remarkable truth is that transformation does not require permission or perfect timing. It requires decision. Each sunrise offers a renewed opportunity to think differently, to act with intention, and to align your behavior with your highest ideals. The people who achieve lasting fulfillment are not guided by circumstance but by conscious direction. They understand that time does not bring improvement. Choices do. They make each day a deliberate act of creation. Instead of waiting for conditions to change, they begin to change themselves. Through disciplined thought and purposeful action, they construct the kind of future most only wish for. And while others may speak of luck or destiny, these individuals quietly build their tomorrows one decision at a time. Your present is proof of your past decisions, and your future is forming through what you decide right now. If you continue choosing as you always have, you will continue living as you always do. But if you choose with new awareness, guided by vision rather than fear, then every moment becomes a stepping stone toward a greater version of yourself. The mind that understands this truth never waits for miracles because it knows that every miracle begins as a single, conscious choice made in the present moment. Success does not arrive by luck or coincidence. It unfolds through deliberate thought and purposeful action. Every achievement in history can be traced back to a decision made with clarity and conviction. The individual who rises above mediocrity does so not because fate favored them, but because they consistently chose direction over drift. Success begins long before results appear. It is born in quiet moments when a person decides to give effort where others give excuses, to persist where others pause, and to act when doubt whispers to stand still. Behind every visible accomplishment lies a chain of conscious choices, each one reinforcing the next. The successful mind refuses to wander aimlessly through opportunity. It studies, plans, and commits. It understands that progress is not accidental, it is constructed. When one chooses discipline over ease, preparation over impulse, and purpose over distraction, the path ahead begins to align with those intentions. Success, then, becomes the inevitable expression of the inner pattern one has cultivated. The outer world simply reflects the precision of those inward choices. Those who seem to achieve effortlessly have, in truth, spent countless unseen hours making small, exact decisions. They have chosen to master the details others overlook, to persist through repetition when boredom calls for retreat. Each deliberate choice becomes a building block, and over time, those blocks form a foundation so strong that chance has no role in its creation. The universe itself bends to the will of an individual who acts with consistency, because energy directed with focus must yield form. The mind governs every outcome. To think intentionally is to direct the unseen forces that shape experience. Success flows to those who decide in advance what they seek and align their actions with that vision. They do not rely on external approval or temporary motivation. Their direction is self-imposed, their drive self-generated. By choosing thought before reaction, purpose before impulse, They turn every hour into an investment toward a definite aim. While the majority wait for circumstances to improve, the purposeful few create those circumstances through decision and persistence. Chance can open a door, but only intention can walk through it. Success responds to the one who has chosen preparation over wishful thinking. The deliberate person studies their failures, extracts wisdom, and adjusts direction. They do not surrender to difficulty because they understand that obstacles test the strength of intention. Each setback becomes another choice, to continue shaping life rather than be shaped by it. Every success story begins in the unseen realm of decision. The outcome may look effortless to onlookers, yet it is the product of countless deliberate moments. The difference between an ordinary life and an extraordinary one lies not in luck or background, but in the steady rhythm of intentional choice. To decide with purpose is to command destiny, for what we repeatedly choose becomes what we inevitably achieve. Life unfolds in unpredictable rhythms, often bringing moments we never planned or desired. Storms arise without warning, people change without reason, and circumstances shift beyond our influence. Yet within this uncertainty lies one unshakable truth. We hold the power to decide how we will respond. Though the world around us may turn in ways we cannot command, the inner world remains a kingdom entirely our own. That sovereignty of response defines character, determines peace, and separates resilience from defeat. Events themselves are neutral until we assign meaning to them. Two people may face the same hardship, yet one grows stronger while the other breaks, not because of the event but because of the interpretation. The mind, when guided with awareness, transforms difficulty into discipline and pain into wisdom. When guided by impulse, it turns small inconveniences into great suffering. Between what happens and what we feel lies a sacred space, the moment of choice. Within that brief pause, destiny is decided. The ability to master that instant is the essence of emotional intelligence and the foundation of true freedom. No one escapes challenge. Every life includes loss, disappointment, and change. But how we meet those experiences determines whether they become burdens or blessings. The individual who learns to pause before reacting gains control over outcomes. By choosing calm instead of anger, understanding instead of resistance, gratitude instead of complaint, they maintain authority over themselves. This quiet control does not eliminate pain. It transforms it into purpose. Each reaction shapes the atmosphere of the mind, either strengthening the spirit or weakening it. Power lies not in the event, but in perception. The same rain that ruins a parade nourishes a field. The same delay that frustrates one traveler saves another from harm. When perspective expands, emotion softens, and wisdom enters. Those who understand this truth no longer waste energy fighting what they cannot change. They redirect focus toward what can be influenced. Their thoughts, their words, their next step. Every response becomes a conscious declaration of who they choose to be, regardless of external chaos. Life's greatest leaders, thinkers, and creators have all mastered this principle. They did not live free from hardship. They simply refused to surrender their inner stability to outer turmoil. They understood that composure under pressure is not indifference but strength. When a person meets adversity with intention instead of instinct, they transform obstacles into instruments of growth. Control over response is control over destiny because the world outside can bend only to the will of the world within. To live with this awareness is to walk through uncertainty with quiet assurance. The mind that chooses its response consciously cannot be enslaved by events. It stands firm in clarity while the waves of circumstance rise and fall. The difference between chaos and calm, despair and determination lies in one decision: to govern reaction instead of letting reaction govern life. Every idea begins as a spark within the mind, fragile yet filled with potential. Thought is the origin of creation, the invisible seed from which all achievement grows. But a seed, no matter how perfect, remains dormant until action breathes life into it. Choice is that breath. It transforms possibility into movement and imagination into substance. Without decision, even the most brilliant thought fades into nothing more than a dream unfulfilled. The mind conceives, but the will must decide for creation to begin. Every thought carries within it the blueprint of reality. What we dwell upon shapes the direction of our choices, and what we choose shapes the structure of our lives. The thinker may envision greatness, yet only the chooser brings it into form. Thought designs the path, choice walks upon it. Each decision taken in alignment with a worthy idea strengthens the bridge between vision and accomplishment. The one who understands this connection learns to guard their thinking and discipline their choosing, for together they compose the architecture of destiny. In the garden of the mind, countless seeds fall each day. Some are born of fear, others of faith. Some whisper limitation, others promise growth. The soil does not discriminate, it nurtures whatever is planted. To think carelessly is to sow weeds, to think deliberately is to cultivate beauty. But even fertile soil demands movement. The farmer must plant, water, and tend before harvest can appear. Likewise, the thinker must choose action to give expression to intention. Without choice, thought withers unused, a potential left unrealized. Choice is the point of courage where vision meets reality. It requires commitment, for once chosen, a direction is declared. Many hesitate at this threshold, clinging to comfort rather than possibility. They hold noble ideas yet never act upon them, allowing time to erode their power. Others, fewer in number, recognize that progress demands risk. They step forward, guided by conviction rather than certainty, understanding that the decision itself awakens hidden strength. Movement, not perfection, is what transforms thought into experience. Each act of choosing reshapes the inner landscape. It trains the mind to trust itself, to see effort as creation and consequence as guidance. Thought sets the target, choice releases the arrow. When both align, the result is inevitable. Great inventions, powerful movements, and personal transformations all began the same way, with a thought followed by a decisive act. The thinker who dares to choose becomes the creator of form, turning invisible intention into tangible outcome. This harmony between idea and decision defines every success story ever told. The dreamer envisions, the doer commits, and the world changes in response. Between those two forces, thought and choice, lies the essence of creation itself. The mind conceives the design, but the will ignites the process, giving shape, sound, and motion to what once existed only in imagination. Excuses are the quiet escape routes the mind builds to avoid accountability. They dress themselves in reason, yet underneath, they are simply choices wearing masks. When one says they cannot, what they truly mean is they will not. Every justification for inaction hides a decision to remain comfortable rather than challenged, still rather than progressing. Excuses sound logical, but they serve only one purpose: to protect the ego from the discomfort of effort. They are decisions made to defend limitation rather than pursue potential. The language of excuse often begins softly. I don't have time. I'm not ready. The conditions aren't right. These phrases sound harmless, even rational, yet each one quietly erodes power. They transform ability into hesitation and replace courage with hesitation disguised as wisdom. The moment an individual begins to reason away their capability, they surrender their authority to circumstance. The truth is, life rarely presents perfect conditions. Progress belongs to those who act despite imperfection, who choose direction over doubt, and who refuse to let logic talk them out of growth. Excuses are born from fear of failure, of rejection, of exposing inadequacy. But fear itself is also a decision, for it is sustained by what one chooses to focus on. The mind that feeds on possibility finds reasons to move. The mind that feeds on fear finds explanations to wait. The difference between achievement and stagnation often lies in a single moment, the moment a person decides whether to create an excuse or a solution. Every challenge invites that choice, and the outcome depends entirely on which one is selected. Those who accomplish extraordinary things face the same obstacles as everyone else. They, too, encounter difficulty, delay, and uncertainty. Yet instead of giving their energy to explanation, they give it to execution. They understand that reasons never build, excuses never create, and justification never completes a task. Each time they could have said, "I can't," they chose instead to ask, "How can I?" That subtle shift transforms passivity into movement and turns potential into reality. Excuses may comfort in the moment, but they cost dearly in the long run, for every reason accepted today becomes a regret tomorrow. The mind becomes what it repeatedly tells itself. A person who habitually rationalizes failure trains their thinking to find escape rather than opportunity. But when they begin replacing explanations with effort, a remarkable change occurs. Strength grows where avoidance once lived. Progress replaces guilt. Excuses lose power the instant one stops believing them. To break free from their hold, one must recognize them for what they are. Choice is deliberate and continuous. With awareness, each excuse becomes an invitation to choose again, this time with intention and integrity. Every limitation begins as a sentence spoken to the self. When that sentence changes, life changes. Excuses dissolve not through argument but through action, for once a person decides to move forward, reasons fall silent. The act of choosing responsibility over rationalization restores mastery, turning the mind from defense into determination. The law of choice is always active, shaping every moment of existence, yet few recognize its quiet authority. Most individuals move through their days unaware that every reaction, habit, and routine is a decision repeated so often it feels automatic. Life becomes a series of responses rather than deliberate actions. Awareness is the light that reveals this truth, while unconsciousness is the fog that hides it. Without mindfulness, people mistake habit for destiny, believing their circumstances were chosen for them when, in reality, they have been choosing them all along, silently, continuously, without intention. The mind, when left unguided, operates by pattern. It repeats yesterday's choices, recycles old beliefs, and clings to familiar paths. This repetition creates the illusion of inevitability. Many call it luck, fate, or coincidence, yet beneath it all lies unexamined choice. The person who does not pause to question their thoughts becomes directed by them. They are carried like a leaf on a current, never realizing they could steer. Awareness interrupts that drift. It brings attention to the present and reveals that at every instant, an option exists. To think differently, to respond differently, to live differently. Those who awaken to this principle discover a profound shift. They begin to see how even minor decisions, what to read, how to speak, where to place attention, compound into larger outcomes. Awareness does not add control over life's external events, it grants control over the inner world. It allows one to choose response over reaction, purpose over habit, clarity over confusion. When a person lives consciously, their energy is no longer scattered across countless impulses. It becomes focused, and with focus, direction emerges. The danger of unconscious living is not chaos but comfort. Drifting feels easy because it demands nothing. Awareness, however, demands observation, patience, and honesty. It requires facing the truth that every condition in life carries the fingerprint of past decisions. Yet in that acknowledgement lies immense freedom. Once a person sees the pattern, they can redesign it. They can replace aimless repetition with deliberate motion, turning existence from routine into creation. The mind is a magnificent servant but a poor master. Awareness restores the rightful order. Through observation, one learns to catch the subtle beginnings of a thought before it becomes behavior. With practice, this consciousness strengthens like a muscle, allowing choice to replace impulse in every domain: speech, emotion, effort, and direction. When awareness governs, life gains coherence. Instead of being pulled by circumstance, one begins to move with purpose, every step guided by intention rather than habit. Most people live as though asleep, unaware that they are constantly deciding, but the moment awareness awakens, the drift ends. The individual ceases to be a passenger and becomes a pilot. Every thought, word, and action transforms from reaction into creation, from repetition into responsibility. Awareness turns the invisible law of choice into a living force, making each moment a deliberate act of authorship. Each passing minute offers a silent crossroad, a moment when one must decide between advancement and decline. Life never stands still. It either expands or contracts depending on the direction chosen in that instant. Every decision, no matter how small, carries within it the seed of transformation or the weight of delay. Growth demands awareness and effort, while stagnation requires nothing at all. To choose growth is to step into the unknown with faith in one's potential. To choose stagnation is to remain where comfort whispers safety, though it quietly erodes strength. Every moment extends this invitation, asking whether you will rise or remain. Growth is rarely dramatic. It begins subtly through a single action that challenges ease. It may be reading when the mind craves distraction, speaking truth when silence feels easier, or working when rest tempts retreat. These small victories accumulate, creating momentum that builds character and shapes destiny. Stagnation, on the other hand, arrives quietly. It does not announce itself. It slips in through postponed effort, ignored discipline, and comfortable excuses. Time continues to move, but without direction, life drifts, and drifting is simply decline disguised as calm. The fork in the road appears not only in great decisions but in ordinary routines. Each hour carries choices that determine whether you evolve or remain unchanged. The discipline to rise early, to focus deeply, to speak with kindness, or to think with intention, all these lead toward expansion. Neglecting them leads to repetition, the slow fading of enthusiasm that eventually hardens into apathy. Growth, then, is not a destination but a continual process of conscious redirection, an awareness that every minute counts toward the shaping of one's spirit. Those who pursue progress understand that the path of expansion often feels uncomfortable. It demands effort, patience, and resilience. But through that struggle, capacity increases, perception widens, and strength multiplies. Stagnation feels easier because it avoids challenge, yet the comfort it offers is temporary. It traps potential beneath layers of hesitation and dulls the inner spark that seeks improvement. The person who continually chooses growth accepts discomfort as a companion and understands that pain is not punishment, but the price of elevation. The choice between growth and stillness is never made once. It is made repeatedly, countless times each day. With every thought entertained, every response given, and every opportunity either seized or ignored, you decide who you are becoming. Growth demands awareness of this rhythm. Stagnation thrives on neglect of it. Time is impartial. It rewards the one who uses it and diminishes the one who wastes it. The difference between advancement and decline is rarely visible in a single day, but becomes unmistakable over years. Each minute holds a turning point, invisible yet decisive. To choose the path of growth is to engage in the ongoing act of becoming, to expand mind, heart, and capacity with each decision. To choose the path of stagnation is to stand still while time continues forward, leaving behind the unchosen possibilities that could have defined your greatness. The power to change direction has never belonged to anyone outside of you. Every transformation begins when a person realizes they are free to choose again, regardless of what has been done before. You do not need approval from others to alter your path, only the bravery to act on conviction. The world often teaches conformity, encouraging safety within the familiar, but progress demands deviation. True courage is not loud, it is the quiet decision to walk a different road when everything around you insists you stay the same. Permission is an illusion. No one can grant you the right to think differently, to dream boldly, or to redefine what your life represents. That right was born with you. Yet many wait endlessly for a signal, for validation that never comes. They silence their desires because they fear judgment, misunderstanding, or failure. But courage does not ask whether it will be accepted, it simply moves. It is the inner voice that whispers, "Go," even when uncertainty looms ahead. The moment you decide to act from conviction instead of compliance, the chains of hesitation begin to fall away. Choosing differently requires more strength than following the crowd because it invites solitude. It means stepping away from familiar patterns and walking toward a horizon that few can see. The courageous understand that change will always be met with resistance, but they do not let that resistance dictate their direction. They recognize that every life-altering decision feels uncomfortable at first, yet that discomfort is proof of growth, the stretching of one's limits into possibility. Courage is not the absence of fear, it is the mastery of it. It is the quiet acknowledgement that while fear may walk beside you, it will not lead. Every great accomplishment began with a single act of daring, someone choosing differently when it would have been easier to conform. The world rewards those who act, not those who wait. Every moment spent seeking permission delays the becoming of who you are meant to be. When courage replaces hesitation, potential begins to move from thought into form, and what once seemed impossible becomes attainable. The most powerful transformations happen when an individual stops asking, "Can I?" and begins declaring, "I will." That shift in language signals ownership, a reclaiming of authority over life. To choose differently is to honor the calling within, to align action with truth rather than expectation. It means accepting that not everyone will understand, yet proceeding anyway because inner conviction matters more than outer approval. The path of courage is rarely crowded, but it is always alive with meaning. Each bold decision lights a trail for others to follow, proving that freedom is not given, it is taken through will. Every time you decide to move against limitation, you affirm your right to create, to evolve, to live intentionally. Permission may comfort the hesitant, but courage empowers the decisive. For the moment you dare to choose differently, life begins to answer in ways it never could before. The individual you grow into is not a product of chance or fortune, but the result of accumulated decisions. Every thought entertained, every step taken, every habit repeated contributes to the shaping of character. Life unfolds not by random circumstance, but through continuous selection. You are, at this moment, the reflection of all that you have chosen up to now. The person who grasps this truth ceases to wait for opportunity and begins to create it, understanding that destiny is not discovered, it is built one deliberate act at a time. Luck may open a door, but only decision can walk through it. Circumstance may introduce an event, yet your reaction defines its meaning. Two individuals can face the same condition. One rises while the other remains still, not because of chance, but because of differing choices. Every action compounds, shaping thought, direction, and outcome. The law of accumulation never fails. Small choices made consistently carve character more deeply than any single moment of fortune. Who you are becoming is being written daily through what you decide to think, speak, and do. The mind is the workshop of identity. Within it, ideas are molded into intention, and intention becomes behavior. Repeated behavior forms habit, and habit defines the course of life. Every time you choose discipline over ease, learning over distraction, patience over reaction, you reinforce the framework of strength. Every time you surrender to comfort or doubt, you chip away at potential. The grand design of a fulfilled existence is not crafted in a day, but through thousands of seemingly insignificant decisions that align with purpose. Many attribute success or failure to luck because it absolves them from responsibility. Yet fortune is a reflection, not a cause. Luck favors the prepared, the persistent, and the aware. It follows the one who acts with consistency rather than waiting for favorable winds. Each day presents countless moments where the direction of your life tilts slightly forward or backward, depending on the choice made in that instant. The sum of those tilts determines whether you ascend or remain grounded. Responsibility is the foundation of transformation. Once you recognize that everything stems from decision, blame dissolves. You stop viewing life as something that happens to you and start seeing it as something happening through you. Every success story is proof of this principle. People who refuse to leave their growth to chance, who chose learning over ignorance, persistence over despair, and integrity over convenience. Their outcomes were not gifts of fate, but the natural consequences of consistent direction. The power to shape existence lies in awareness of this truth. The choices you make when no one watches define more than the grand gestures that others applaud. Every selection of thought and effort accumulates, forming the architecture of your character. Who you become tomorrow is hidden in the decisions you make today. Each moment contributes to the total of who you are becoming, proving that life's truest design is drawn by the steady hand of conscious choice, never by the unpredictable turn of luck. Every life is written through decision. The law of choice governs every moment, quietly shaping destiny through thought, intention, and action. You stand each day at countless crossroads where growth, stagnation, courage, or retreat await your command. Circumstances may influence the stage, but you alone write the script. Awareness awakens responsibility, and responsibility grants freedom. When you understand that everything you are and everything you will become flows from choice, excuses lose their power, fear loses its voice, and limitation loses its hold. The future does not arrive by accident, it responds to direction. Each decision, no matter how small, bends the path forward. To think clearly, to act deliberately, to persist with purpose. These are the movements that transform potential into reality. Greatness is not given, it is chosen. Success is not luck, it is the reward of consistency. Change begins not with circumstance, but with a single decision to choose differently. So choose with awareness. Choose with intention. Choose with courage. For the law of choice never sleeps, and it is shaping your destiny even now. The moment you take full command of your decisions, you reclaim authorship of your life and step boldly into the person you were always meant to become.